Boys and girls, today we are going to be practicing some line patterns. So a pattern is something that repeats itself. So I am going to practice 6 different patterns with you and you can follow along. First, I'm going to start with a zigzag line across. In order to make it a pattern, I have to repeat it. So I am going to do the same exact zigzag, the best I can, underneath it. And I'm going to repeat to make a zigzag pattern all the way down in this box. So go ahead and fill in your first box with a zigzag line pattern all the way through. So the next line pattern we are going to practice is the waves. So it's kind of like a zigzag, but the edges are curved and soft and don't come to a point. So I go up and down in a curvy line. But in order to make it a line pattern, I need to repeat it. So I'm going to repeat my wavy line all the way across and fill up the whole box. I actually really like this line pattern because it reminds me of little drips of paint. If you changed the length of these waves, it would look super drippy, and that would be kind of neat to do for some kind of project. The next line pattern I'm going to do is just some bumpy lines, but to make it a little more interesting, I have a cool trick. So I'm going to start from the bottom and do my bumps across. But in between those bumps, I'm going to add more bumps. This will make it look like it's layered, and it almost looks like mermaid scales or fish scales or even dragon scales, and it creates a very interesting look. But if you really break it down, it's just these bumps spaced out in between each other. So go ahead and fill in that whole box. The next pattern we're going to do is going to look like a weaving. So I'm actually just going to use vertical lines, 1, 2, 3, and then switch to horizontal underneath. 3, vertical 3, horizontal 3, vertical 3, horizontal. Now when I do my next row, I need to alternate it. So I need to switch. So now I do my horizontal 3, then vertical 3. And you'll notice as I keep going, this pattern makes it look like a weaving. The next pattern is one of my favorites. I call it waves. So I start with an S shape that's kind of sideways, go up around, and then I make a sharp C shape. So it's like an S, then a C, and it'll look like white caps of a wave. S and C. Let me show you again. Underneath to make it a line pattern, S to a point and a C. So the S is kind of stretched out and the C is small. S, C, and do that all the way in. Now it looks like a bunch of waves. And lastly, we're going to make a line pattern of swirls. So when I make my swirls, I always start from the inside and work my way out. So I go around and around and stop, space them out a little bit so they have a little room for a little bit of a tail, and fill in that whole box with a spiral line pattern. Now it is your job to come up with 6 different line patterns on your own. Get as creative as you want, but remember, a pattern is something that repeats itself. So it needs to be repeated and it needs to be made out of lines. Good luck!